You're listening to the Higher Attitudes Podcast, inspiration to lift your soul. Hello, this is Tom. Today I want to talk to you about being unstoppable. When I think of unstoppable, I think of a locomotive, a big steam locomotive. My grandfather and even my great-grandfather worked for the railroad in Colorado and then later in Idaho. And in fact, my grandfather ran a roundhouse for one of the big railroad companies in Idaho, just off the Snake River for many years. Now, if you've ever watched a steam engine, a steam locomotive leave a station, it's slow going. You know, the big engine starts up and you get that huffing and puffing sound, right, that only a steam locomotive can make. And even today's diesel engines don't move much faster. And there is just this slow build of speed until the engine pulls its load slowly out of the station. You wouldn't think much of the ability of that locomotive to be moving along pretty quickly. But of course, if you've ever kind of raced a locomotive along the highway, I've done that driving across Wyoming before, where the engine's pulling a long line of cars. And, I look down and realize I'm doing 65 miles an hour, maybe 75 miles an hour, and I'm really just barely overtaking that engine, or maybe even several engines pulling what must be a 2 or 3 mile train of cars with them. And that then really starts to talk about being unstoppable. I guarantee you none of us have dreams, I think, of being stuck on railroad tracks and consider them positive, right? If we do have those kinds of dreams, we're worried about getting out of the car and getting off the tracks before that engine might potentially, run us over. It's because those engines, once they get going and once they are pulling their burdens, they don't stop easily. That is unstoppable. Now, I think that's the kind of unstoppable that I want to be, that I think positive people need to be. Perhaps we're slow to build momentum. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. We go about our lives in very normal ways, and we're pulling burdens that often seem so heavy, especially when we're just getting started or when it's a new burden. But equally, a positive momentum can be hard to stop. It can be hard to stop even when the coal bin behind us is running low, or the water tank that provides, honestly, the fuel to make the steam is running low, and we know we're going to need to stop and refill. Even then, it can be hard to stop such a train as it's built up its momentum and it's moving along. You see, a locomotive is in the business of moving heavy loads. Sometimes, if we're the locomotive, it might be our own burdens, and sometimes we may be pulling someone else's burdens. But these very burdens can push us forward when our own energy starts to wane. That's why a locomotive is hard to stop when it's pulling a long line of cars. The inertia, the stored energy that line of cars carries, will push the engine forward even after it stops exerting energy. Now, my challenge for you today, and for myself, is to think not about the next hill that we have to climb, the one that we're not sure we have enough coal and water, that we're going to be able to make enough steam to get up. Instead, the challenge is to think about the last one we finished climbing. How did we do it? Was God there in our lives? Was He the one personally shoveling the coal to keep us going? I believe He's not scared of getting His hands dirty to help us. And when we are feeling stronger and we ask what we can do for Him, I think He would nod at the other shovel sitting there next to the coal bin as He invites us to stoke someone else's progress up the hill that they are climbing. That's all I have for you today. I just wanted to say that if you're feeling like your boiler's fading, remember that you have enough momentum for another day. Surely you do. Remember that others, including God Himself, stand ready to help you get moving again. And remember that if you are able, be unstoppable in helping others up their hills in life. Thank you for listening. We'd love to have you join us on Facebook at facebook.com/higher-attitudes. Do you have an uplifting thought to share? Why not join our Facebook discussion group? Visit the group at facebook.com/groups/higher-attitudes to request membership. If you'd like to leave a question about a challenge you're facing, or if you'd like to share a thought about how you've overcome negativity, call 719-301-0303 and record your question or comment. Please note that carrier rates may apply. Again, call 719-301-0303 to leave a question or comment. We hope you've enjoyed the show, and we look forward to you joining us for the next episode of the Higher Attitudes podcast. Please remember that the advice offered in this show is intended for informational purposes only. Please read our full disclaimer in the show notes.